am here with Donald Chang, and he's the retired fire chief. And Donald, tell us about why you had a press conference today.
Okay, basically, our First Amendment right was taken away from us. Freedom of speech, freedom of choice, that was taken away from us. I have to go way back and explain to you about how this organization started. We're about 40 years old. This organization, Retired Association, is 40 years old. We've been using the training center for a classroom for about 20 years.
This is the training center at the fire department?
Yeah. Actually, when I was a deputy fire chief, the retiree group, I noticed they were going like vagabonds. They're going from community centers, libraries, trying to find a place to live. When I heard that, I called in that time the president was Honolulu, the fire chief. And I explained to him, I said, why are you guys going all over looking for a place to live? You are the pioneers of the fire department. You set this place up. So this training center is your training center. Use it whenever you want for your meeting. It's open to you whenever we can help you. So from in the early 90s till present, we've been using the training center. And they had their meetings. And our meetings basically consist of camaraderie. We meet to talk about needs of different people who are ill that want visitation. People who have cancer, let's go visit them. Some of these guys they're not well, the yard is getting out of hand. Need help, we go over, cut your grass for you. It's all camaraderie. Then as of recent years, we started to get a little more involved, and we found that looking at our bylaws, it says, we could form committees to legislatively look to keep your benefits and sustain what you have. So we said, hey, why don't we look for people that will kind of help us and keep what we're receiving as retirees? So we formed the committee. We said this should be maybe the executive board, and do their homework, research who's running, and what can they do to help us to keep our benefits. We're as an older group now. We are fixed income. We're not money. We just live from day to day. We've got people in the 80s and 90s that are really striving to live. Their income is so low. It is pretty concerning. So we said, okay, let's look what can we do. So we're looking at people that support us. Back in the early part of the year, we have endorsed people in the past, different people, like we endorsed our contract, we endorsed Duke Band. We have done different endorsements on people that had said, we want to help you with retirement. So I came along the line back in February. We were talking about endorsing Cayetano for mayor. We looked at his experience, we looked at the program he has, and one of the things that struck us is that he's against raising taxes and all these things that are unnecessary. He had priorities like we need fixing our water system, we need to fix our roads. There's so many other priorities that override spending billions of dollars on a rail right now. So he said priority should be taking first aid that we need to fix our broken infrastructure before we go into this excessive spending. And we said, hey, we kind of like that. People don't need to pay fees and raising of taxes immediately. Maybe later, but right now we've got to do more with less with what we've got. But we've got to take priorities first. So I had an anonymous phone call. This person said, you understand you folks are going to endorse Cayetano.
This is an anonymous phone call.
Yeah.
When was this? Just before the endorsement?
Early part of January, yeah.
Yeah.
No, February. February. And I said, who is this? It's just a friend. I'm concerned about you. I said, yeah, we're talking about that now. We've already done it. We're talking about endorsing Cayetano. His needs are basically what we need. He said, okay, you know that everybody else is going with Caldwell? I said, I understand that. You're upsetting the apple cart.
They said what?
We're upsetting the apple cart.
Upsetting the apple cart?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I said, we've got the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights. Freedom of speech, freedom of choice.
Right.
Now, they can go with their candidate that they want. We're going to go with a candidate we want. Their candidate maybe satisfies their needs. We feel that our candidate will satisfy our needs. I said, well, you could get hurt. I said, well, I don't know what's happening, but this is what we're going to do, and we're going to go with it. It didn't take long, maybe a week or so later, then I get a letter from the fire chief here saying, because you were making and made the endorsement, you can no longer use our premises. You are therefore evicted, effective immediately. So I looked at it, and I said, well, here's the bonus, and we're just going to have another platform.
And even though you've made endorsements before,
nothing happened.
You made endorsements in the previous elections, like Linda Lingle and Duke Bainham, and Yeah, nothing happened. Okay.
So all of a sudden, where it was orchestrated, I don't know. I have no clue if it was orchestrated or not. But it's a coincidence that this happens. And like I said, well, that's a small price to pay to rent the place for a meeting. That's okay. It's worth it for the freedom of speech. And that's what happened.
And it said you can't get your mail and you can't use the conference room?
In the past, they let us use this as a mail. We used to have a P.O. box. And then at that time, Chief Bernardi had said, why use a P.O. box? This is our address. Save you some money and just pick up your mail here. So that's what we've been doing. So we said, you've got 7 days to pick up your mail and that's it. But as far as evicted, you evicted immediately. So we said, well, we're not going to argue the point. But, we're thinking about it. I said, wow, we talk about our children, don't bully children, don't intimidate them. But by the same token, we have leaders of our city doing the same thing. They're bullying us, they're intimidating us. This is like the third world. I said, we don't need that. This is America. We have our Bill of Rights, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to stand by it. They can harass us, intimidate us. We don't need that. So we're doing fine. We rent the place quarterly, and we still have our meeting, and we're still going to support people that support the senior citizens. And we were, like I said, there are people in the 80s and 90s that are on fixed income. And this bothers me when, they're next to being homeless. And we can't afford to have increases in taxes and fees for these people. And that's why we like his program of trying to sustain with what we've got and take priority fixing first. And real can be deferred to a later date when we have the money. But right now, we need to fix the most important things. That's our water system, our sewers, our rooms, and this is what.
As a former fire chief, fire captain, how does it make you feel to have this happen to you with your own department?
It's a new breed of people. It's a new time in life. We were always people first, safety first, life first. We did a lot of public relations. We were concerned about everybody. We never really threatened anybody. It was really ohana. We had a good family style of operation. And I have to maybe go with the time. Times have changed. Different upbringing, different philosophy, and everybody had their rights and what they want to do. And that's where we are today.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Donald.
That's the whole story.